Um, Attacks on Jews, personal attacks, not necessarily physical, but some will be physical, and others will be calling names, whatever. Jew did it, the Jews banking system, the Jew this, and they also talk about how since many very high level people in our government, you may not know this, are dual citizens to U.S. slash Israel. So we have people from actually Israel who come over here normally and become a citizen here. But they were usually, in most of these cases, Israeli citizens first, come over here, basically get by President Obama and everybody in the cabinet who appoint all these key positions, they get chosen. So does their allegiance lie with the U.S. or Israel? You're going to find out, as this thing says, this report, just where their allegiance lies, and them saying, well, America's so huge and Israel's this little tiny turd on a map, we're going to use America as our army. And since I've got this power, and I'm an Israeli slash American dual citizen, they don't know that. The average person doesn't know that. They just see me as this high figure. We're going to go to war. We're going to use their troops. There's nothing you can do about it. That's how this is going to play out. And there is nothing you can do about it. Except let it collapse and unfold, and whatever happens after the mess is cleaned up, at that point will be crucial for people to rebuild a society that's good for all of us. Not just the banking system and the international bankers. So, what else we got? Israel will lose half of its air force in 28 minutes during the new war, resulting in a spasm of fear farts for the Israeli war instigators, along with a whole lot of other stuff, including U.S. politicians being blamed for being part of the Israeli attack on U.S. soldiers. And he got into a little detail on that. And when he said, basically, that the Israeli mistake is still on. And, hang on. Okay. Basically, Israel and Iran they go to war. Iran wipes out half of the attacking force, which is going to pretty much be an air assault by Israel. And again, they're going to try to pull the U.S. into it because that's our ally, and we have dual citizens running the show here. And it says, resulting in a spasm of fear farts for the Israeli war instigators, along with a whole lot of other stuff, including U.S. politicians being blamed for being part of an Israeli attack on U.S. soldiers. I can only assume those politicians are these dual citizens to Israel and U.S. And they go along the lines of there will be another false flag event, probably over there in the Middle East as opposed to here in the U.S. It's going to be blamed on Iran to say, look, Iran nuked us, or they used some kind of badass weapon on us, and blah, 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 when in fact it was Israel who did it, which means that Israel attacked our own troops out there in the war or somewhere over here. But since it's troops, it can't be here in America because we're not over here with our troops. So it's probably in the Middle East. And it doesn't quite go as planned, where, in other words, they kind of get found out a little bit. People say, wait a minute, that's not what happened. And people really start to pay attention, like, wait a minute, I think we just been lied to. Holy crap, Israel did this, and now we're looking for blood. Who we got to blame? Oh, these politicians made that happen. They okayed it. And then people are, of course, it's payback time. Mob murder of politicians. Mercenaries are hired as bodyguards. We've already seen, and this was in an earlier report, earlier this year, and from last year's report, they said you're going to see politicians in this country, congressmen, etc., walking around with bodyguards. That already happened when all those threats came out earlier this year, when healthcare was being debated and about to be passed, and people were threatening to kill congressmen and all that stuff. There was some of them, either 6 or 10 of them, I don't remember the number, 6 or 10, had actually had some bodyguards with them for a short period of time. So that was actually fulfilled already. But this is different. We're talking bodyguards, and he goes into the details of bodyguards that have the right, because they will pass legislation that says if you try to come near or harm a politician, and they even think you might do harm to the politician, they have the right to kill you. These mercenaries or these hired bodyguards. There'll be legislation passed, apparently, in regards to that, because they're so fearful. And they want to as government always does, hits you hard and fast. They don't play games. They're going to go straight for the jugular, which is, you want to come bother us and pick it at us and maybe even punch them or hurt them. Okay, we're now passing a law that says we're going to have bodyguards all around us, and you're going to pay for it, you taxpayer bastards. And we're going to pass this law that says if we think our life's in danger, our guys have the right to kill you. Plain and simple. And of course, being a politician, you could just get next to them, punch them, hurt them, which some people can be so fed up, that's probably what they'll do. And there's going to be people who get shot, which of course enrages other civilians and kind of goes back and forth. That's obvious that would happen if you start shooting people because you passed a law that said you could. I mean, this is ridiculous. Mob murder politicians, a possibility. The mass outing of incumbent... a possibility, and he said not likely. The mass outing of incumbents caused a severe market crash. November tipping point again, same date, November 8th through 12th or whatever. That the election will be decided by the government. So in other words, so many of the incumbents are voted out, and they realize the game's over, new people are coming in, they're not going to go on with these wars, they're not going to go on with the banker bailouts, they're not going out with the elite. So what else can we do? Not exactly martial law, but they'll pass legislation real quick through executive order, through the president or whatever, that says we're deciding we need a Congress, and it's being contested right now. We're going to say who stays, and of course they're going to pick the same people who are already there because they were already there. They already know what's going on and stuff, right? That's a possible outcome, but I think they said it was not one of the likely outcomes. The original one I talked about a minute ago, where they don't get voted out hardly, is the normal outcome. 6 days of madness around the March equinox. I don't remember what that was about, and I don't know if they really elaborated much on that anyways. Extreme hot or cold, no temperate falls or springs. Past civilization remnants will be exposed due to the new ice patterns. Flooding will occur in some cities, and looting from these cities for anything of use will be encouraged. Flooded lands will cause problems because areas that have toxic waste will be flooded and will be known as death areas. In other words, military places that used to be cordoned off, toxic waste dumps, basically. Now if water gets in there, it's going to go elsewhere. That's what they're talking about. New lakes and rivers will also form. The aftermath of the flooding will be felt by multiple generations. They're talking 50 years, at least. Covered with water for half a century is what it's saying.